Well, it's a bit of a rainy day out here, so it's a perfect time to get back into the Centerline Design shop. If you're new to the channel, I'm Cole. We're going to head in the workshop and get to putter with some things today. If you've been watching the last video that I posted, it was on that plate compactor that seemed to fail as soon as I bought it. So we're going to go through that. I got the new bearing in the mail, so let's go take a look at this and hopefully get this thing back together. Well, that didn't take too long. Industrial Automation Canada had this look like a NOS, a new old stock part. Came in a fairly old box here, but it is that bearing we're looking for, which is, let me set this up a little better. So this bearing here is a little bit of an interesting one because it's two bearings in one. So it's a roller needle bearing to roll around that interior shaft, as you can see, but then it is also a ball bearing thrust to take side load. So this, when it's on the shaft, can take radial load, and with this ball bearing thrust on the end here, it can also take a heavy side load because it'll just sit against there and spin nice and freely. So that was an interesting one to find. There wasn't a lot of sources, but this Industrial Automation Canada prides themselves on having, you know, old parts and stuff that seems to be obsolete. So yeah, thank you to them. That was a nice, easy part to source. So now let's go get that case open. There we are. Split the case. All right, and here you can see those eccentric weights that I was talking about in the previous video. So let's get this thing flipped over upside down. We can take a better look inside, and then let's see if our nut is actually in here. All right, so you can see we have the two shafts that are very offset with their weight. And I'm going to go out on a limb and try and make a guess how I think this works. I don't know if I'm correct or not, but I believe that these two on this end have the gears and that spider assembly. And I believe what happens is these spin, and when they're synchronized, or whatever fashion causes them to be a neutral vibration, it wants to jump up and down. And by adjusting that shaft with the lever to go forward reverse, it would slightly offset one of these compared to the main one. And I think that offset in timing, so to speak, allows the machine to then, instead of just jump up and down, it wants to jump forward, making the plate compactor go forward. You bring it back to neutral and it wants to go up and down, or you adjust that timing backwards and it makes it jump backwards. It's really all that I can see that's going on here. There's not much to go wrong, actually. So if anyone has any better information on the principle of operation, drop it down in the comments. I'd be curious to know. That's just my understanding of the way this mechanism seems to be working. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Let's get in that oil, see if we can find a nut. Okay, so there's actually a drain down here. That's a port. Nope. There is no nut in there. All right, I want to try and get this pulley off. I think there's like a lip seal here to help seal the gear oil in. It's not looking real great to me. Could be a problem, but I don't want to go put a bunch of gear oil in here and then have it all just flood out, which who knows, maybe happened before. So I'm going to try and get this snap ring off and then pull the pulley. Well, this is pretty heavy, so I'm opting to do it the hard way and scoop this out. I wanted to take this side off to pull the drain bolt, but it's not coming off. Well, I've got mostly everything cleaned up here. I'm going to put some gasket sealer on the main case surface here, get that back on, and it needs to set. All right, I pretty much have most of the stuff cleaned up. It's not perfect, but it's going to be good enough. I need to go ahead and get some gasket maker on the lower case here. I'm going to put a nice healthy bead on, and then I need to set the top part or the top assembly on, and it needs to just sit with its own weight. All the bolts just finger tight for about I think it says an hour, and it lets the gasket maker set up so that it actually retains some thickness, and then we can go ahead and clamp that down, which will leave a nice seal in there. Hopefully no oil comes out, and then I'm going to work on putting all the side stuff back together, and hopefully before you know it, this will be running. Okay, we need to let that gasket maker sit and work on getting some side covers on.
Well, that gasket maker's setting. I'm going to go in, and this gear needs a little bit of attention. That ball bearing that bound it up left some dents, so I need to file those out. And this kind of spider gear here looks a little worn. I don't know if it is like normal wear or if that had to do with it being loose. But I'm going to go ahead and just file up the edges of all these teeth and smooth everything out. And hopefully, in the next couple hours, that gasket maker all set. I can Loctite all these bolts, get it all tightened down, and hopefully keep the assembly going. Well, as usual, when you're working on things, I lost a key I needed to put this back together. So I just quickly filed one down. That fits in there. Yeah, that'll fit back on there. Okay. Time to deal with these bearings. Like I say, I was able to get a brand new bearing, so that was nice. File this up a little bit. All right, well, because I wasn't able to get castle nuts, I just got a regular jam nut. I snugged it down. I kind of see where I need to mark my holes. So I'm just gonna mark that, and then we're just gonna file a groove for the cotter pin. Let's see how this spider gear assembly goes this way. See how it fits. So I have a assumption on how this assembly works. So the belt drives this shaft here. This is a smaller gear, so this shaft will be spinning, I don't know, let's say 5 times faster than this one. This is the one that connects to the housing to the forward reversing lever. So there will be also a spider gear connected all the time. Right now, the 2 weights are settled. So if the spider gear was in here, it'll transfer the movement from this shaft through this gear, through the spider gears, and through the other shaft. So the 2 shafts will be in sync, or like say timing neutral. They'll both spin up and down at the same time, and I believe that's what makes the packer go up and down. Now, if you do the forward reversing lever, back or forth, let's say you go forth, what it does is rotate this spider gear relative to the other one. Because I can spin, let's see, it's hard to describe here. I can spin this. I can spin this shaft independently of this one with this exterior spider gear. So what happens, and again, this is my theory, if you want to correct me in the comments, by all means, I would love to learn more, but you can advance the weight one way, so when they're rotating it, the net force is going up and down, but also that way, because they're out of sync, so the weight wants to jump forward, and vice versa. You can rotate it back, so as they rotate, it's not neutral up and down anymore. The weight has a a vector to it, wanting to go reverse or forward. And that's really all there is, as far as I can tell. It's a fairly simple mechanism. Yeah, so we'll see how it works. I think we have it fixed. Ultimately, there was a nut missing that let all the tension in here go, which caused some wear on that back gear. But yeah, I think we're good. I wasn't planning on taking the rack assembly apart, but I might as well check the seals. Again, this part, it's just like a rack in a car where hydraulic fluid gets pushed into one side of a hydraulic cylinder, basically, and then there is a rack attached to that. So as you push fluid in, it'll push the piston that way and cause this to rotate a little bit, which would advance that weight, all to do with the timing I was talking about. And when you pull the reverse lever back, it'll suck fluid out, it'll pull the rack in, rotating this the other way. So somewhere in there is a neutral position, and then full forward, full reverse. That's really all there is to it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to have to try and find an O-ring or something to help seal the gear oil from the hydraulic oil side. There's not a lot of pressure, so I think I'm just going to try and go with an O-ring. But let's get this apart, see what it all looks like. There's that rack I was talking about. So there's quite a bit of wear where it's seen all the use in its life. I'm going to get that sprayed out with some cleaner and get back to this. Okay, I marked this rack in center because when we put it all together, we're going to assemble it in what I think is the neutral position, and we'll see if that gets us the forward reversing action we need. Hard to see. All right, I gotta get some O-rings. Well, the repair of this thing is spreading itself out across several more days than I had planned. I didn't have an O-ring kit, so I had to basically stop videoing yesterday and go borrow one from my dad. This is the gear that I believe, if you've been paying attention, adjusts the timing of the eccentric weights to either make them in time, advanced, or retarded, which will make the thing go forward or reverse. It's in this housing, which has a hydraulic input to a ram and a rack that has notches to match the gear pattern here, and that turns it while also allowing it to spin. So I'm going to go ahead. This gear, like there was sort of a hydraulic cylinder seal in here. It's to keep the two different oils separate, because in this system, in I believe what they call the exciter circuit, there's a hydraulic oil to transmit the movement from up where you hold on with the forward reversing lever. That actually comes down in here. And then on the gear side is where the gear case oil sits. So there was typically this V seal in here, kind of like an external lip seal. I don't know if you'd call it. This company's out of business, never going to get parts for it, so I have to make it work myself. I figure since there really is going to be no pressure on either side, and this doesn't sit spinning a lot, it just rotates one direction or the other a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and put an O-ring in there. It should, accomplish the same goal. Maybe it won't last as long, but I just want this thing to work and use it for what I need to do. So I think it'll be fine. I'm going to go ahead and try that. So I'm and get this back together, and then I should be able to hopefully get the rest of this assembled today, and maybe even get it fired up. We'll see. Okay, well, I'm gonna get this in here. I'm going to change the indexing on this because it has a certain wear spot where the Packer ran most of its life. I'm assuming forward direction or just sitting, idling. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead, put that in. The O-ring should go. There. Hopefully this didn't set up on me. Nope. You think that's bad? You should see me with anti-seize. I get that shit everywhere. Okay, well, moment of truth. We'll see if I'm correct in my theory here. I'm assembling it in what I think is like a neutral position with both weights down so that they're in like a neutral timing, and this gear centered in the rack because one direction is going to be full forward, one direction is going to be full back. So neutral should be center. Guess we'll see if that works. Okay, so now that's supposed to just get snugged down a little bit, but not fully tightened until the gasket maker has time to set. Otherwise, you're just going to squeeze it all out and not get the thickness of gasket that you need. So I did that yesterday. I can give you a little closer view. On the main case here, I got that gasket maker in, just the weight of it. See these, these are just in to locate it. And the weight of it squished out however much it needed to, and the remainder stayed in there making a gasket. So I'm going to go ahead and get these all tightened down, get this snugged up, and then I'm going to start assembling the rack piece here. And, we're getting there. Get that pulley back on. It was really, really, really snug. If I showed yesterday, one of the chunks broke out of it that had been previously broken. But this pulley, I mean, look at those V's. It seems quite worn to me, and it's definitely had a little abuse. So I'm not even going to bother fixing that right now. I'm just going to clean it up so it doesn't shred the belt. It wasn't really welded that great to begin with. But if it works well, then I'm probably going to go ahead and either repair this or just change this altogether. So I'm going to run it the way it is. Again, not intending it to last forever. I don't feel like putting effort into fixing this if the thing doesn't work, right? So we'll go from there. I'm going to go ahead and put thread locker and stuff on these afterwards. If I do it now, I'm just going to break it when I go to retighten them. So snug these down a little and then back each one out and put some Loctite on it. Alrighty. Got that main case put back together. While we're letting that set up, let's get this pulley back on and check out why it was so difficult to get off. Whew. Well, that took a lot of effort. Definitely stiffer than it needed to be, but it's on. There. Good. All right, well, it's time to start assembling. I believe what's referred to as the exciter circuit in these. Really need to take care of my garbage. So I've cleaned everything out in there. Time to get these caps in place. The O-rings look really good. Guess I'm doing that one by hand. All right, well, this gasket maker's had some time to set up, so I'm gonna pull these out, get a little Loctite on, and hopefully be able to get some oil in this. I'm gonna cheat it a little. I know I'm not supposed to put oil in for like 24 hours, but I wanna get this running. It is now time to get some oil in this. The fill's on top. I gotta do it before we get the engine assembly on because there's really no easy way. This is like a fill level check plug. So we'll fill up the top until we start seeing a little bit come out here. And then that'll be the line that the oil should be at. We'll see if we have any leaks. And then let's get the engine on, hook up the exciter circuit, bleed that out again, and belts and whatnot, and fire it up. Well, I said screw it, and I'm going to try and go without a funnel here. I'm impatient. So far, so good. definitely could probably use some belts.
Woo! I'm gonna call that a win. No, it works. Well, put that cover on and I think I can say we're done with this project, hopefully.